Good evening. I'm Joe Carr, Rutherford County Mayor. This is our first Facebook Live as Rutherford County Mayor. I've got a lot of help with me tonight to make this happen. I've got Cody York, who's our Director of Office of Information Technology, making sure we don't have any technical difficulties. And to that end, that's why we're starting a couple of 3 minutes late, which is perfect if you want to know the truth. This is our inaugural Facebook Live, and it wouldn't be complete without some technical challenges, right, Cody?
That's right.
And I've also have with me this evening Lisa Kay, who is the Rutherford County's Public Information Officer. Where are you going, Cody?
Testing audio.
And then I've got joining also is the venerable Eric Hennessy, who is my Chief of Staff. And so, you know, it's really a pleasure to be with you this evening. I'm kind of nervous about it, if you want to know the truth, and because I haven't done one of these since August of last year. But during the campaign, as many of you know, I made the promise to revisit and do these and again, and so many of you have said, hey, you know, we would like for you to do those again. We found them beneficial and informative, educational, and so it's been, what now, 7, almost 8 months since we've done one. So I apologize for being late, but I wanted them to be relevant. I want them to be not just another Facebook Live session, but something that brings value and information and education to our community. So hopefully this will be the start of a regular series. We'll just see how it goes. As always, your questions are required, and because this is a conversation you and I are having to the larger community about what's going on in our county, what's important to you, and the things that we're doing. We always endeavor to be open, honest, and transparent. And to that end, we're going to take some questions. But I want to talk about, real quick, before we get started on the questions, because Lisa Kay is going to moderate the questions for me, along with assistance from Eric. But I want to talk about 3 things. We've got coming up our budget cycle. We've got the mayor's office has to come with a recommendation to the budget committee and the full commission with a budget here in the next couple of few weeks. We're preparing that, and I can say I have met with all the departments within Rutherford County, and with only one exception, has all the departments have come in with very acceptable budgets. And matter of fact, because of the difficulties that we're in financially, just so you know, Rutherford County, we have a $64 million deficit. Rutherford County's never had a $64 million deficit before. As a matter of fact, we've never had a $50 or even a $40 million deficit. So from the 21-22 budget to the 22-23 budget, the budget deficit increased from $31 million to over $64 million. That's dollars. And so we inherited some significant challenges, but I am not intimidated in the least by those challenges, nor is the county commission. We're going to tackle these challenges together, and we're going to right the ship financially and proceed forward, embracing the growth, but also managing the growth that is required of us. So having said that, I wanted to talk about all the directors have reported back to me. All 24 plus directors have come to me, with the exception of one, with a budget without any increases in their departmental budget over last year, which is what I asked them. And I'm really proud of them. And I asked them to hold the line so that we could get an idea or an understanding about where our revenues are coming from. Were they going to exceed projections? Were they going to fall short of projections? What's going to happen? Because the fact of the matter is, we're looking at a property tax increase. And we've got to pay down this budget deficit, and we have to do that. That's our first priority. Rutherford County is one of 3 counties, I believe, in the entire state that has a AAA bond rating, and it's very difficult to get a AAA bond rating. What's even more difficult than a AAA bond rating is losing it and getting it back. And so I'm not going to allow, and the county commission will not allow us to be put in that position. So this county spent years and years and years getting to this position where we had a strong financial balance sheet, and we're going to maintain that. So we've got a little work to do this year, But it's with that in mind that our goal is that we will be able to restore a little bit of common sense in how we manage our budgets going forward. But this year is just going to require some difficult choices. So, like I said, we've asked our budget directors from all departments to hold and not increase their budgets. We've been really successful with the exception of one department, but we're working through that, and we will. I'm optimistic about our opportunities. The second thing we can talk about tonight is obviously what's going on with Middle Point Landfill, and I'll be glad to take some questions on that. We've got an engineering solution that's going forward with regard to a transfer station and where that transfer station is going to be. Again, we estimate that the landfill is going to close in the next 18 to 24 months, and so we're working with all due haste to a permanent solution, not to take outside trash from Rutherford County anymore, which includes Davidson County. And so we're going to be moving toward that end very, very quickly. And then finally, we're trying to solicit the help, although we weren't successful this year. We're trying to solicit the help from the Tennessee General Assembly on ways that we can help pay for this growth. So the growth that this county is experiencing isn't solely on the backs of the property taxpayers, because right now Rutherford County is one of the few counties that only has two ways to pay for growth, and that's the adequate facilities tax, which you and we've all talked about, which goes solely to schools, but still inadequate, and then property taxes. Many other counties like Wilson, Williamson, Dixon, they all have the ability to raise a development tax and or impact fees. And for whatever reason, the Tennessee General Assembly has decided that Rutherford County can't have those same financial tools. But we're not giving up. We're working on other solutions, because this office, like the County Commission, in unison believe that the property taxpayers of Rutherford County should not be burdened with paying for the expansion of government services that otherwise should be paid for by the growth that is requiring those services. And we're very serious about that. So we have some difficult challenges in front of us, but none of these challenges are so great that we can't meet them. And we will all rise up and meet them together. So with that being said, I'm going to take some questions. If we have some questions available, Lisa Kay, do we have any questions?
We do, Mayor Carr.
Excellent.
And we have actually two questions, but let's start off with something pretty stinky. What's the latest news in reference to the landfill?
Sure. So as most of the viewers probably know, we put out to bid a RFP for a design and engineering of a transfer station out at Landfill Road. H&A Engineering from North Carolina was awarded that bid. I am really excited about Ray Hoffman, the owner of H&A, being a part of the Rutherford County solution for its solid waste management. It is still the belief of Bishop Wagner and the mayor, myself, that and other professionals, that Middle Point Landfill will be full in 18 to 24 months. I understand that they're saying that they have 4 years of life left out there. That is not our belief, but regardless of whether it's 2 years or 4 years, Rutherford County needs to move to find alternative solutions other than accepting waste from outside of the county, which includes Davidson County. Currently, Middle Point Landfill accepts anywhere from 4,500 to 5,000 tons of waste a day. 75% of that is from outside the county. And so that's an intolerable situation that we're going to address, and we're addressing that with alternative solutions, which include but are not limited to a transfer station. So that's what we're doing there. And I'm excited about the prospects of getting this resolved.
Speak a little bit about the transfer station. When do you think it will be completed, and where is it going to be located?
The transfer station right now is slated to be on Landfill Road, which is in the Walter Hill community. We expect the engineering and design to be completed in about 60 to 90 days, at which point we will then go out for RFPs for construction of the transfer station. We expect the construction of the land transfer station to take about 18 to 24 months before it's operational. We're hoping we're operational by the spring of 2025. That is our anticipation time for being operational.
Okay, and before we move from the landfill,
Mm-hmm.
we've gotten questions earlier about the Weekly Lane Convenience Center. What's going on there with the recyclables?
So Bishop Wagner has done a great job as solid waste director, and basically with our convenience centers, and we have 14 of them throughout the county. The convenience centers take recyclables, and basically what they do is you have different bins for different types of plastic and glass and cardboard. And what Bishop is doing is he is trying to consolidate all that material into a single stream, and we're finding that to be much more efficient and advantageous. So Weekly Lane is doing a pilot project on that kind of thing, and so Bishop literally told me today on the way to Nashville for a GNRC solid waste meeting that it's going extremely well. So what we will, at the conclusion of the pilot, we anticipate we will be implementing this single stream recycling method in all our convenience centers. That determination hadn't been made yet, Lisa Kay, but based on the preliminary evidence of what's going on at Weekly Lane, we're going to be satisfied that that's something we'll be implementing across the county, which will do two things. Number one, it'll bring a cost savings to the county. It should increase recycling efforts on the county residents, but also it will provide a financial lift to the county as it relates to how we sort those things out.
Okay, let's move on. We are getting a question here about the EMS building in Lascassas. It says, will the volunteer fire department merge with them or stay separate?
Okay, so I think they're talking about the public safety building.
Yeah, they call it EMS.
Exactly, and that's fine because EMS, the ambulatory service that the county provides, will also be located. So that's not a completely inaccurate statement, but we'll have obviously fire and EMS in that building. Yes, if the volunteers at the Lascassas Volunteer Fire Department want to be a part of that fire solution in Lascassas with that public safety building, absolutely, Larry Farley would be very grateful to have their help. So they will if they want to participate in that, absolutely.
Okay. We're getting another question that says, you mentioned in a presentation before the county, the schools will need $700 million for expansion.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the number I mentioned was Dr. Jimmy Sullivan in the Health Education Committee meeting, gosh, Lisa Kay, I think that was maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago. I made a presentation to the Health and Education meeting that in the next 4 years, he was going to need $745 million in additional capital bond debt to build schools to meet the growth demand in Rutherford County. That $745 million on top of the $350 million in school bond debt that we already have means that Rutherford County in the next 4 years will have anywhere from $1.1 to $1.2 billion in school bond debt. And so that is just to meet the demands of growth. So those are numbers from Dr. Sullivan's projected needs based on the growth of this county. And I might add, recently the Tennessee Comptroller issued a report that Rutherford County from 2020 to 2022, that 2-year period since the last census, is the fastest growing county in the state. We are literally adding over 10,000 new residents to the county every year. And of course, with those new residents, there are a number of new students that add to the population of our schools. Currently, Rutherford County has 51,000 students enrolled in its schools, not counting the approximately 10,000 students that are enrolled in the Murfreesboro City schools. So when you put the Murfreesboro City schools and the Rutherford County schools together, it's well over 60,000 students, and we are the third largest county with schools in the state, only behind Memphis, Shelby County, and Nashville-Davidson County. So these growth demands on Rutherford County are very, very important. And how do we meet these financial demands of growth? Right now, as I said earlier, our ways of doing that are extremely limited because of the actions of the Tennessee General Assembly.
Okay, on that same note here, we've got like a follow-up to
Sure.
what you've been saying.
Mhm.
Why isn't the growth a major part of that cost? What are the options to decrease that cost in reference to the 700 that you?
If I understand, and at least, Kay, you may have to help me out with the question a little bit. I'm not sure I completely understand the question. So
It's from the same one about the schools that they'll need 700 million in expansion, and they're saying, why isn't the growth a major part of that cost? What are the options to decrease that cost?
So,
And then,
oh, I see. So,
Yeah,
and this is a projected cost to build 2 new high schools, several a new middle school, and a couple of new elementary schools. And these are projected based on the growth of the county. And the growth of the county is approximately 1,500 new students every year. That's why. And so currently, the county commission, rightfully so, has authorized a $156 million bond to renovate Riverdale and Oakland and expand those schools, and as well as a renovation of Smyrna High School, which will increase those attendance. However, it doesn't at all meet the demands of growth out in the farther west part of the county, Blackman and beyond, and Laverne. And so when we talk about reducing the cost of the schools, we are certainly constrained in many ways because of legislation out of Nashville and Washington, D.C. on how we construct our schools. I trust Dr. Sullivan and the school board. They're doing all they can to keep the cost minimal. But the fact of the matter is, with a county growing as fast as this one, and with our resources as limited as they are, I want to reemphasize, the only way Rutherford County has to pay for our schools is through the adequate facilities tax, which provides about $3 to $4 million a year, and property tax increases. This is a result of a decision by the Tennessee General Assembly that disallows us, that's Rutherford County, to allowing development taxes or impact fees like other counties. All we were asking in the Tennessee General Assembly was to give us the same rights as Wilson County, Williamson County, Dixon County, and all of the counties that had a development tax for the purpose of exclusively paying for growth. We were denied that request.
okay, so along those lines, someone is asking, why is Rutherford County having such issues with developers paying their fair share for schools and infrastructure? Why is it taxpayers always pay the bill on this growth?
Because the Tennessee General Assembly will not give us the same opportunity to pay for growth like Williamson County has. Williamson County has the ability to assess impact fees and development taxes, and they also, Wilson County has the ability to assess a development tax. Dixon County has the ability to assess a development tax, and the Tennessee General Assembly said that Rutherford County did not have that same opportunity. Let me step back here for a second and explain this for a second. A lot of people don't understand the purpose of property taxes. Property taxes are meant and designed to pay for the maintenance and upgrade of the existing services offered by that local government. That's it. So if you have a certain area that is offered government services, the property taxes go for the maintenance and upgrade of those services. If because of growth and development, those government services need to be expanded, the expansion of those same services should be, in my opinion, be paid for by those who are asking for the expansion of those services because of the developmental growth. In Rutherford County's case, we don't have that option. Our only option for those who are developing in Rutherford County where there are no current government services is to raise property taxes. Unlike Williamson County, Wilson County, and Dixon County that can levy a development tax or an impact fee on that new development, to pay for the expansion of those required services. That's what we were trying to do. All Rutherford County was trying to do was to give us the same opportunity to pay for growth that Williamson County, Wilson County, and Dixon County already have. All right, Eric, you're over there shaking your head no. What is it you don't want them to ask me? I can tell. See, I got them. I got the three guys back here feeding me the questions, and I got to know what question you don't want me to answer.
Let me just ask,
Sure.
just follow up before Eric tells
Okay.
you what he was saying. No,
That'd be good.
If all departments are holding budget,
Yes,
why is there a need for more revenue?
because of the growth and because of the deficit. We have a $64 million deficit. This county's never had a $64 million deficit. The deficit the year before was a little less than $31 million. In 1 year, we more than doubled our deficit. That's why. And we don't have a way to pay for the growth other than what the Tennessee General Assembly allowed us to do, which is to raise property taxes. I hate it like you do. It's wrong. But this is the choice we have.
Well, you asked.
I did.
Did any of Rutherford County representatives vote against our request at the legislature?
Yes.
Even.
The silence is deafening, Lisa Kay.
I'm sorry.
We're good.
Carr.
So let me just say, this is our first time to do this, and so please be patient with us. This is our first time, and we want to make sure we're informative, but we also have a little bit of fun here. So I'm gonna pick at these three guys a little bit while we do this. I already told them I would.
Yeah, and
Who was it?
so.
I would rather not say, but I understand the question. But that's in the rearview mirror. I need to look for, and I appreciate the question and I respect the question, but I'm not going to say, because at this point in time, we need to move forward and we need to find solutions, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm determined to do that. So I appreciate it, but I would rather not say.
Okay, well, just to let you know, someone has already said in the questions, so we're going
to move on.
Going to move on.
Please.
So, okay, this question is, why did the county commission lower the tax rate if they knew there was a need for funds?
Okay, so that is not exactly correct. Okay. What happened was, this past year, this is real important. This past year, we had what's called a reassessment. So what it is it's a reassessment of the property based on the values of those properties. And so in some parts of the county, your property assessment went up. In other parts of the county, the property assessments went down, because the assessment has to come into the county neutral. If that makes the revenue to the county as a result of the reassessment has to be neutral. I'll give you an example. I have a 95-acre farm. My wife and I have a 95-acre farm in Lascassas. We're blessed, but our reassessment over the last time we had an assessment, I think they're done every 4 years. I think that's right. Is that right, Cody? Every 4 years. So in the last 4 years, the assessment on our property in Lascassas went up 85%. And as a result, our taxes went up 35%. So I know some people have seen their assessments go way up, but some had it go way down. But I think that's what the questioner's asking is, why did they go down? They didn't go down. The tax rate went down, but the assessment went up, because it has to be revenue neutral.
Okay.
I think I explained that correctly.
Yeah. I'm going to just throw this one other question
Sure.
in while we still have time.
Yeah.
So this person is saying, so you're saying
So when you ask me a question, since we're new, I want to know who their first name is. So
okay,
just,
Bill.
Great. That's great. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
You've answered a couple of his questions.
Sure.
So, but I'm just going to do this last one here.
And this is still Bill, right?
It's still Bill.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying we increased deficit by $30 million because of growth. How does that
No, I did not.
manifest?
I did not say that. So thank you for that clarification. What I said, the original question, if I understood it correctly, was how did we get into the position where we're going to have to raise taxes? I said because of the growth and our inability to pay for growth without having growth pay for itself. The second part to that was the increase in the deficit from a year ago to today. We went from $31 million to $64 million. And the way that happened was we dedicated one-time money toward a reoccurring expense, which in accounting, in the accounting word, is something you just never do. But we did. So now we're stuck with a reoccurring expense that was initially funded with COVID money from the federal government. So that's why we got a $64 million deficit.
Okay, and
Now we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it.
And probably the last question about growth.
Yeah.
Why should home builders be the only ones required to pay for growth?
Well, the home builders aren't. Just like corporations don't pay taxes, they pass it on to the consumer. It's a line item in their balance sheet. Home builders don't pay impact fees or development taxes. They certainly don't pay them here in Rutherford County. And so all we were asking was the home builders to participate in sharing in the burden of paying for the growth that they necessarily created, and the expansion of the services that the property tax owners in Rutherford County now have to foot the bill for. So the question I have to ask that individual is, why should an individual in Kittrell whose community is not growing have to pay through their property tax increases for the development that home builder created in Blackman? That property tax increase for which that person in Kittrell will receive no benefit for in Blackman or on the west side of the county. That seems to me patently unfair, and it's certainly not conservative.
Okay, moving on to you being the new mayor.
Oh boy!
This is a question coming from.
Yeah, I am the new mayor.
A question coming from Chris. He says, as a new mayor, were you surprised at how the departments ran? Do you foresee any adjustments to any of the departments?
Let me just say this. So, I have been an owner of two different engineering companies. One of them, a large engineering company. As a matter of fact, in the 90s, it was the sixth largest mechanical design engineering company in the Southeast. And I was assistant commissioner at TDEC for a while. And so I've been privileged to oversee large operations. And when I walked into being mayor of Rutherford County, I had no idea what to expect. I really didn't. I had a lot of people chirping in my ear that this person needed to be fired. I didn't need to keep this person. I need to find somebody else. But I also know that as the new mayor, the worst thing I can do is that I can come in and start quote unquote cleaning house and bringing in my people. You know, this isn't about me. It was never about me, nor was it about bringing in my people. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to spend at least 90 days, as a minimum of 90 days, trying to get to know these people, trying to find out, what their passions were. Why did they work here? Did they want to work here? Were they happy? And I can say, without exception, the directors that report directly to me, I couldn't be more pleased with. I've been blown away by the talent, the commitment, the passion that these people have, these people in leadership in Rutherford County have for this community. And let me give you a real world example. 2 weeks ago, Rutherford County and Canyon County were hit with an EF2 tornado, and it did some pretty serious damage in Rutherford County. But in the community of Reedville, which is predominantly in Canyon County, it wiped it out. I mean, it blew it away. And I'm telling you, this county, whether it was OIT doing GIS services, flying drones, whether it was fire, EMS, or the sheriff, or Chris Clark at EMA, Greg Brooks, the county road superintendent, Bishop Wagner, solid waste director. I mean, everybody from every part of Rutherford County government dove in and spent the time and the effort and the willingness to not just help our community, but help our sister community, Canyon County, which didn't have the resources to do this recovery effort. And when we got on the ground that Saturday morning, this is the honest truth. I looked at Bishop Wagner and I looked at Greg Brooks, and I asked them, I said, how long is it going to take us to clean this up? And they both said, we're looking at 3 to 4 weeks as a minimum. We're going to be out here for 3 to 4 weeks cleaning all this debris up. They got it cleaned up, and they were out of there in less than 10 days. 10 days. And I couldn't be more pleased. So, this idea that Rutherford County personnel are somehow not up to the task, that there isn't anything that could be further from the truth. I am honored and privileged to work alongside these great people. I really am. It's one of the highest honors I've experienced. And so I get emotional about it because I saw firsthand how dedicated these people are. How they were. Lisa Kay was up all hours of the night drafting the statements and the press releases, and Eric was home in bed, snuggled underneath the covers, sleeping all hours of the day and night. Eric, I mean, did you ever wake up from the storm?
I was at EMA for about 5 hours on Saturday.
I know that.
And I delivered a porta potty.
Okay, I know. But did you hear that? He's delivered porta potties. He was at EMA. I kid these guys because I know where they were at. And you can have great confidence and faith in it. So, Chris, I really appreciate that question because it is honored. I'm honored to brag on these people. And you know what? You know something? When I got out there on Saturday, and it really hit home on Monday, there was nothing for me to do. As county mayor, and I'm a take charge kind of guy. I don't shy away from taking control of a situation and making sure that everything's running smoothly. These people had it under control, and it was humbling and just awesome that it was great. So that was an incredible test that we passed. So anyway, thank you, Chris, for that question. I get to brag on the folks that make Rutherford County proud.
So, Mayor, our time is really going by quickly. And
yes, we're already over 30, but we did start late, Lisa Kay. We did start late.
You're right. We started late. So
But
somebody is asking.
Sure.
I'm seeing the name David. It says, what options are available to Rutherford County Commission to balance our expenses and revenue?
Is that
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one Eric wanted to.
So what we need to do is we need to get the $64 million deficit down. Just historically, let me show this. Can y'all see that? Can you see that, Cody? Okay, so this right here is a graph of our deficits over the years, over the last 10 or 11 years. So this is $64 million deficit. The year previous, it was 30, 31. We're at 29 here. We're at 29, 30 here. So you can see how our deficits. What I want to do is I want to return our deficits back to here. You go, well, why do we want any deficit? Well, the fact of the matter is typically governments underreport what they believe their revenue is. So they literally grow their way through their deficit. So at the end of the budget year, there isn't a deficit. So, and Mayor Burgess was phenomenal at that. And quite honestly, I talked to Mayor Burgess, and I want to return to that kind of fiscal responsibility. And that's the goal. Because our resources or our financial tools are limited, there's only a few ways, there's only a couple of ways we can do that. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, the primary way is either to grow our way through it and reducing costs and raising property taxes. And unfortunately, we're going to have to do a combination of the three, which is why I said this budget year, I've asked all departments for no increases in their budgets. I've asked, and they have complied with the exception, like I said, of one. And we're working on that. And then we're looking for some additional help on how we can fund for growth. And I'm not willing to talk about that yet because it's still in the preliminary stages. And then third and finally, and most unfortunately, is, property tax increase. And as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to deceive you or mislead you. I'm not going to do it. This is a hard pill for all of us to swallow, especially for a guy like me who last year on the assessment saw his property taxes go up 35%. I hate it, but that's the reality.
So, Mayor Carr, I've got a comment from Patty, and then
Sure.
Eric and Cody can give me one last question.
Sure.
But Patty's comment is, first live question and answer town meeting from a Rutherford County mayor I have seen. I applaud you in your approach as a person who represents citizens.
Thank you, Patty. I want to, let me just say, God has blessed me, and I want to give him the credit and the honor for allowing me to do this. But I really appreciate all of you out there tuning in and listening and watching and asking questions. This isn't about me or the mayor or the county commission. It's about all of us. This is our community. And one of the things that I am absolutely committed to is putting together a vision for this county that we can all embrace, that we all can afford. And what that means is there's right now some difficult choices, but I promise you all the choices we're making are going to be hard this year. This isn't the norm. All we're trying to do is right the ship, get the deficit down, find some additional revenue sources for growth, and then live within our means and enjoy what God has blessed us with.
Okay, I don't have a buzzer or anything, but this is last question.
Okay.
And this was actually both Eric and Cody pointed to it.
Uh-oh.
So,
This must be a doozy.
So
Uh-oh.
we're going
See,
to
now, if it's coming from Eric, this is the gotcha right here. This is okay, I'm out of here.
All right. So
Oh my goodness.
do we know how much property taxes will go up?
No.
That is from Jim.
No, Jim, we don't. I will tell you this. I will have an inkling. I will tell you this. That's not a decision that the county mayor gets to make. The county mayor will make a recommendation on the budget. I will make a recommendation to the budget committee on the budget and the property tax increase that most probably is coming. And then it's up for the county commission then to vote on that. Typically, it's the county commission and the mayor work in consensus, but it's possible they may not agree with my recommendation. And we'll have to just see. I've got to respect them as a body, and I will respect them as a deliberative body that is also working to make the best decisions on behalf of Rutherford County. I will say this, Jim. The county commission and the office of the mayor are climbing the same mountain. You know, we just may have a little bit different path up that mountain, but we're climbing the same mountain, and it's been an honor and privilege to work with them. But I don't have a number for you at this time, but soon as I do have a number, maybe I can come back on Facebook Live and share that with the audience.
Thank you, Mayor Carr. And just to let people know, any question we didn't get to, we are writing it down so you can answer that at a different time.
Yeah, so this was our first time to do this, and so your feedback would be very helpful if you think this is something you would like for us to continue to do. You know, if it's worthwhile, if it's informative, if it has value, then we will continue. If it doesn't, we certainly don't want to waste anybody's time. But having said that, we'd be glad to do it again if this is something that you think is pertinent to moving forward. So, again, it was an honor to be here with you this evening. It was our first time to do this, so forgive the mistakes. But we had Eric and Lisa Kay and what is your name, Cody? Old man Freeze over here. We had a good time. I've got a great crew. Thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. God bless.